Alright, stop for a second. Now, if you're one of the friends of Mr. Anime, he sent you this video to try and complain and tell you, oh, go and report this video. Before you even type down your little hate comment and all that, actually watch the video first. Like, don't just sit there and comment and lie about you watching the video first. Sit down, actually watch the video first, because there's a lot of stuff that you don't know about this guy that you're trying to defend. Sit there, just watch the video. Just hear me out. If you watch the video and hear me out, I'll gladly hear you out. Now, let's go. Now, I've had to deal with this guy, Mr. Anime343, for years now. Years of this guy being weird and lying about me to literally dozens of people about all types of crazy shit. I had originally retired when it came to like my exposed videos and shit, but I had to come out of retirement for this one last video because this right here has been going way too long and it's been freaking getting crazy and out of control. I'm gonna try and be as in order as possible with this. So my first interactions with Mr. Anime, I was actually sent his profile and warned about him because he had randomly joined an old Discord server that I owned at one time before I had rebranded and created my new one that I currently have. I was warned about him because of his super crazy obsession with lollies and shit, and I've already made my opinions on lollies very well known on Twitter. I'm very much against it and it's very disgusting. However, I started like tweeting at him and I was like, ew dude, what the fuck? So at that point he had responded to my tweets and was like, hey, I was thinking that me and you could team up against Moculus. And I was like, no, fuck no, like I'm not gonna get desperate enough to sit there and team with someone like you. No. Now you can sit there and feel like I was being a little too harsh, whether or not that's perfectly fine. You can sit there and have that whole opinion on it, whether you know, however you want to think. However, I had freaking pretty much made tweets and I was just trolling him before and shit like that. And shit had gotten very out of hand for him. Because there was a point in time where he was getting trolled and he had he had commented on a video of mine saying, hey, I want to invite you to a lolly debate. And he chose the uploader. He chose the uploader, he chose the date, he chose the person, he chose the setting. He had complete home advantage pretty much, right? He had control of everything. Now, of course, I accepted the offer to the debate. Now, you would think with someone like him who had complete home advantage to all that he would have won the debate. That entire debate, he made an ass out of himself. He had been caught lying multiple times. Even his own Lolicon friends, and keep in mind, if you know nothing about Lolicons are pretty known for just blindly defending each other, just simply cause, right? Even his own Lolicon friends were telling him, hey, you kind of conducted yourself like an idiot in that freaking debate. He was completely furious about that. He had accused the uploader of rigging the debate. He had sent me more hate comments and shit like that when I had made him a deal like, hey, if you beat me in this debate and you make me pretty much speechless, I'll delete all my videos on you and shit like that. I made that pretty clear with him. Despite me saying that wasn't good enough for him. Then he started demanding, oh, I'll delete all your shit and all that. And of course I was like, you know, fuck you. I'm not deleting that. That wasn't the deal. So he decided to go to an extreme. That's really not cool, right? He had, and I shit you not, I wish I was exaggerating, he actually defecated in a box, called the hazmat team to his house to have it removed, called the FBI, had them show up to my house because he had intentions of having them arrest me or something like that for, I guess, chemical warfare or something. I don't know. But the fact that you tried to have the FBI sent to someone's house purely because they beat you in a debate, that is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. Keep in mind, I haven't even mentioned yet about him advocating for Japan to lower their age of consent to 13 years old. Now, no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you are pro Lolicon, whether you are anti-Lolicon, whether you don't care, whether you're indifferent, whether you're willing to hear out both sides, or whether you don't even know anything about either or. All of us should be able to unanimously agree that trying to have the age of consent anywhere in the world lowered, especially to an astronomically low age like 13 years old, is not okay. We should all be able to unanimously agree on that. That is not okay. That is not okay. That is disgusting, and there's no excuse for that. He, however, labels his thought on that as a quote-unquote hot take. He said that Konosuke attacks me from a hot take that I made one time. Like I had stated on Twitter previously. That is not a hot take. That is you openly admitting that you want to legally sleep with children. That is not okay. All lolicon stuff put aside, all anime little girl stuff put aside, you are talking about actual kids. You are talking about the actual age of consent needing to be, that you think needing to be lowered to 13. That is not okay. That is disgusting. Now, when all this insane stuff had gone out about Mr. Anime, of course, he's a professional victim. He's a professional please believe me person like that. And like I said, lolicons typically blindly believe other lolicons. I very rarely see one that's pretty reasonable and is like, all right, let me hear this guy out on anything, right? So he decided to throw in a, at the time, friend of his into all of his drama called J Senpai X4. A rather big lolicon in the whole lolicon community, right? He had gotten really tired of Mr. Anime's bullshit. He had gotten really tired of it. He's constantly bringing him up and stuff. He's constantly getting his stuff attacked because of Mr. Anime. He's constantly getting brought up in Mr. Anime's drama that has nothing to do with him. And when me and Pods, or Moculus, or at Danklords Pro on Twitter, however you know him as, reached out to J Senpai X4, told him about Mr. Anime, about all the lies and all that stuff that he's done, everything he's been doing and shit, J Senpai decided to pretty much disown Mr. Anime. And to that, he did that, and everything on his account seemed perfectly fine until both myself and J Senpai started getting weird emails from Mr. Anime saying stuff like, you will rue the day, you will pay for exposing me, blah, blah, blah. We both had been getting those emails, and we communicated with each other about that. Like, yeah, have you been getting this shit from him? Yeah, okay, I have too, and shit like that. So, I asked him what he wanted to do with this whole thing with Mr. Anime going on. So, upon me asking J Senpai what he would like to say about this whole Mr. Anime situation, this is what he had to say right here.
I don't know how to go about this, and I don't know exactly how this video will be set up and, what's going to happen with the recording, whatever. But I think it's kind of just right to kind of give you a brief history and kind of start from the beginning. So, essentially, I think I met 343 in 2020, and he was someone that very much, liked my takes and stuff, likes, I guess, like, the content I was doing at the time, and very much was someone that looked up to me. And at the time, I was like, that's pretty damn cool, all right? Because, I'm obviously first starting out. I was only doing YouTube for like a year at that point. And it was honestly very interesting to see that happened. I was like, oh yeah, all right, this is good. Let's see what happens here. And as time goes by, I've always noticed that the way he goes about certain things is a little strange. I just never really said it because you don't want to be mean or nothing like that, right? And that's just how I am. I just don't want to be mean to just anyone off rip, especially if I don't know you or you're trying to be nice or whatever. You just don't want to do that, right? So that's kind of how it was. And then it got to points where my name got chucked into different arguments and debates and conversations. And at first I was like, okay, well, yeah, let's just deal with this. But then as time goes on, it was a bit annoying, especially. And then, obviously where it ultimately ended up got even more annoying. So obviously the whole reason why I even got chucked into this whole nonsense when it came down to it was very simply that he chucked my name into a whole another battle. and which got Konosuke's attention. And we already know how that went, or at least if you know me, you know how that went. And that was not necessarily something I wanted to go through. It was absolutely unnecessary, still to this day. Oh my gosh. But that was the worst August I think I've possibly ever had. Not necessarily gonna lie. So ultimately, I ended up was like, you know what? Let's just see what's popping off on Konosuke's side of the fence, because clearly he's very adamant, persistent, a little too persistent, but persistent nonetheless about what was going on. And so I decided to hear him out. And after hearing him out, gathering a bits of information on my own as well, and looking around, and yeah, not gonna lie, I very much see and understand where they're coming from when it comes down to a lot of the stuff that 343 had a involvement in. Now I can't sit here and just be ultimately, you know, on the full side of anybody, because at the end of the day, I'm not there at these points in time where things happen. I can't give you a full acknowledgement or a full convincing that yes, this is absolutely 100% true. I can only give you my side of the fence. And the only thing I can tell you is that whether it was a fake account, but I'm more so leaning towards the fact that this was really 343 now, which was all the random emails and spam emails and all that type of stuff I was getting hit with. It was not a fun time. And as all that was basically happening, it was just a nonsense. Basically trying to call me out to be a betrayer or something like that, and then essentially just trying to take down multiple different Twitter accounts that I had, and that was an annoying time just to really go through. And at the very same time, just threatening a lot of shit, and it just very weird, very strange behavior. Like, I'm just trying to move on from this shit. I'm trying to build my own shit. I don't really have the time to be doing all this, pestering nonsense, and I don't care. And I have not responded to a single email that anybody had really sent me. So that's just kind of how it is. And, that was just going on for a while. And even to the beginning of this year, the emails was still going, right? It stopped now, thankfully, and I haven't had a problem when it comes down to the Twitter accounts or anything like that, so that's good. But when it comes down to it, though, it was very annoying, and it was a very tiring time. Hell, there was even one email where he was trying to fake get like a lawyer or something like that, and try to send it through. I think, like, I forgot what he's trying to send it through. It's been a minute, but he tried to send it through some other nonsense. And when it comes down to it, I was like, what even is this? And then I looked up the whole lawyer's name or attorney's name or whatever, and essentially looked it up and see who is this person. And then all I see is that this is just some Hollywood movie star lawyer person. And immediately I was like, oh yeah, this is just another piece of the puzzle that's just a straight up lie. Like, there's no way he did that. There's no way he could get someone like that, because that's too much money. You know how much money, you would have to do? Plus, I don't even think you have like any way of pulling that off. So I was very confused. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, yeah, 343 definitely was on some weird type of timing, and I was definitely not messing with it. And from this point forward, I just want nothing to do with that, right? Hopefully, this will be the last time I have to bring up the situation, and hopefully, this will be the last time I have to deal with any part of that, because at this point, I just want to move on. I would very much like to move on. Everybody kind of do their own thing, and that's just kind of how it is. But that's just me.
Thank you, Jay Senpai, for that right there. Now, I'm pretty sure a good chunk of the people watching this are going to be Mr. Anime's Lolicon friends who dislike me due to my Lolicon Slayer account on Twitter, where pretty much I just troll Lolicons. Now, I understand that. You're annoyed because this guy keeps fucking with you. Well, it's Mr. Anime's fault. I've simply told him before. You need to sit here and admit to everyone, to all of your lies about me, because you're lying to these people and it's not okay. For example, he had lost his job at one point, a job that he's worked at for 10 years. Now, I'm not going to shit on him for being mad about losing. That's a long time working somewhere. I would have been pretty ass mad too. However, he's changed his story about losing that thing like 3 times. The first story that he made was that someone had called his, he worked at a hotel. Someone had called his hotel, complained about him, and that had gotten him fired. Now, me myself, I had also worked at a hotel before. I had worked front desk at a hotel. And front desk at a hotel, I pretty much know that hotels value the reviews and their reputation above anything else. So, his first story was that someone called and complained about him and got him fired. Then, he changed his story too, that I had gotten him fired. Keep in mind, completely baseless, no proof anywhere. He just started saying that, and people started believing him. So I myself, and I feel like this is a pretty fair stance to have, I myself said, well, you're sitting here and attacking me and making people think that I had anything to do with you getting fired, and you're just spreading fear about me like that. That's not okay. So, of course, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I had found out where he worked. I had called his job myself. I had called them on stream. They did not pick up the phone. That was kind of unfortunate. However, I left them a voicemail. They called me back a few weeks later to come and find out they had fired him because he was sharing CP with guests at the hotel. They labeled it as CP, but general people who don't know about anime typically see like anime stuff and just call it CP. So it's up in the air whether or not he was showing actual CP or if he was just showing lolly stuff to guests walking in. So you accuse me of getting you fired and stuff like that, and you had come to find out you had gotten yourself fired. And then that's when he changed his story a third time to, oh, I was uploading YouTube videos while at work on the work computers, and that's what got me fired. Now, that is a huge insult to our intelligence. Why is that a huge insult to our intelligence? Because you are expecting me to believe that you worked at this job for 10 years. And working there for 10 years, you did not know something as simple as do not use the work computers for personal use. You expect me to believe that. That is a huge insult to my intelligence and to anyone's intelligence. And I'm not the only one who has caught him in lies before. I'm not the only one who's caught him in lies before. He had been interviewed by someone I had just previously mentioned earlier in this video, by Pods or Moculus or Danklords Pro on Twitter. He had been caught and by him in plenty of lies and stuff. And one of the people that was in that video with Moculus, his name is Masturbator. Now, Masturbator is someone who has had this whole beef in history with Mr. Anime for a good while. I asked him what he thought about this whole thing with Mr. Anime going on, and this is what he had to say. Okay, so right here I have one of the people who had caught Mr. Anime in his lies pretty much dozens of times, Masturbator or at Twitter Indian Baiter. So do you want to sit here and talk about the 50 million stuff you've caught Mr. Anime in, like his lies and a bunch of other shit?
Well, like I think you can do the better job than I do, like on that regard, because he pretty much lied about you. Like he pretty much lied about you and shit. But there's a couple of things I'd like to say to him. Hey, Mr. Anime, why you ducking me, you little bitch? You wanna call yourself a fucking like a Japanese expert and a fucking anime fan? You don't even know half the anime that you watch. You wanna gloat about your waifu Mina and whatnot when all you do is make fucking glory hole fanfics of them. And Eri too, I guess. A 6 year old, you sick freak. Like you wanna talk about how you're like you wanna talk about fucking you wanna talk about the whole thing about how your character Mina is your waifu, and you can't even tell me what her character even is or what she even does or what even her power is, but you're gonna call her your waifu. Oh, forget that. Why are all like so? If we say that you're a fucking creep for liking Lolicon, and then you bring up their drawings, buddy. If that is the case, then why are you always having an issue when a character gets blackwashed? Why do you throw a hissy fit over that? It's just drawings, right? Uh, his whole thing about why he thinks Japan is good. When we asked him about what does he know about Japanese culture that he's so enthralled with, you know what he told me? That basically you enter a house, you take your fucking shoes off, and then you say bon appetit in Japanese. I'm not gonna say the word because it's hard to pronounce. But his whole thing is he likes Japan because he can eat food barefooted. Or buddy, you can't even You can't even record and edit your videos out because you're getting constantly caught getting talked by your mother. Your mother is calling you stupid in your own video that you can't read and shit. This is you and what about those deep fakes, buddy? You were liking porn of some your like you liking porn of your sister lookalike, and then when you're getting caught, you basically straight up said that's a deep fake of your sister. So you liking porn of your sister, buddy? Like, are you fucking kidding me? And oh, like, don't answer that. Then answer me this. You had you had a whole problem in Japan when Japan changed the age of consent from 12 to 16, and then you brought up the low birth rate. Explain that to me. So the low birth rate was happening when kids were 12-year old, right? When the age of consent is 12-year old. So are you advocating for kids to be younger? You want the age of consent to be even younger? So these are the questions I wanted to say. But other than that, buddy, you're not even an anime fan. You like anytime we talk about anything related to anime, we've all seen your reviews, and you can't really present any kind of thought, and you cannot even say why this is great and this is amazing. You can't present anything like that. All you're doing is just rambling and saying some dumb shit that has nothing to do with the video or the topic that you're discussing. You're not an anime fan. You watch a bunch of lolly shit, and that's what you do. You just want to jerk off to fucking anime kids, and you probably jerk off to real kids too. You should stay away from school. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And you're a fucking SJW. You want to cry about social justice warriors and people throwing a hissy fit over nothing, buddy. You're the one being a bitch. You're the one ducking from me, ducking from Pods, and ducking from Konosuke. Like you're not even having a confrontation with any of us. You straight up told Konosuke if he brings me in a debate, you're gonna leave. Like what the fuck? Like what the fuck? You're a straight up bitch. You're a straight up SJW, and you cry about stupid shit like the SJWs that you make fun of. So just get out of here, you liberal bitch. That's petty. Oh, one more thing. If you're friends with a pet, you're friends with Pedo Dragon. You're friends with a Pedo Dragon, and you're friends with another guy that wants Imperial Japan and hates democracy while you live in America. And and the only reason people tolerate you is because of democracy. So why don't you just shut the fuck up about Japan and how beautiful it is? That's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Masturbator, for all of that information and, well, the rather funny shit talking about Mr. Anime. Now, here's another thing. I understand a bunch of lolicons sitting here and just saying, oh, well, these are just guys that are just shit talking Mr. Anime here. You guys don't really know anything about him or anything like that. Let me tell you something. You just heard a testimony in the beginning of this video from Jay Senpai, someone who used to be associates with Mr. Anime, someone who was on the other side of that line and was on his side with him. If for whatever reason you think Jay Senpai is lying, well, I have good news for you. I have another person who was once associates with Mr. Anime who would like to say something about him. Keep in mind that this man is the most fair I have ever seen anybody be with Mr. Anime. The most freaking, hey, listen, you need to calm down. This is what's going on. This is why people are saying stuff about you. This is why people think the way they do. All of that. This man has been the most fair. He's given him the most chances I've ever seen and has tried to work with him for so long. And Roman just refused, or Mr. Anime, however you know him as, completely refused to sit there and hear him out and listen to anything or accept the fact that he could quite possibly be wrong. This man is Tai Ironclaw. I asked Tai about everything that was going on with this whole Mr. Anime thing and what he thought about it, considering the fact that he's had a little bit of history with him just like Jay Senpai did. This is what Tai had to say. Okay. So right here I have Tai Ironclaw with me, who is a former associate of Mr. Anime or Roman, whatever you want to call him. And I'm going to get a little bit of a inside look on how it was, I guess, on the other side of the line when it comes to being on his side of all the drama-related stuff. So could you give me some sort of rundown or story time or just explain your interactions with him or the history that you had with him before that led to the current events that are at right now.
Okay, well, my original meeting with Roman was back around 2019, 2020 during the Weeb Wars controversy, more specifically Vic Mignogna, the whole drama about that. And both of us were on the side of Vic Mignogna, obviously. But after a while, I've noticed that he was going back and forth with someone who went by the username of Yakuza Western Killer, and they were going back and forth over the whole lolly shit. I did engage with that one because on the side of Roman, because he was calling Roman a pedophile this, pedophile that, and I joined in on that and started getting on Yakuza Western Killer because he was being a hypocrite, because we found images that he was liking of underage girls, more specifically from My Hero Academia. So that was kind of where our more active interactions was over Yakuza Western Killer. It wasn't until later that and shortly after that, it turned into, we didn't like pods, we didn't like this. And that was probably my biggest mistake, was joining in on that. Shortly after that, I got a DM on Discord from... Well, actually, I should preface this by saying that, Moculus and all these other people on the farms were saying that, you shouldn't like him, this and this and this, and, this, that, and the third with all the whole lolly shit. But, I ignored them. Because, again, I had a sort of bad blood with people like Pods and Moculus and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't... Well, after a while... they started dunking on me a little bit for that. I think I've seen a few posts on the Kiwi farms about it too, but I just ignored it. But then someone by the name of Eli on Discord, he DM'd me. He and I got along. He DM'd me and he sent me some threads, and he sent me the infamous archive your own accounts that Roman owns. And when I saw those archives, I'm like, okay, maybe I should probably take this a bit more seriously. Logically, I probably should have taken it seriously long before, but I was of the same mindset that, hey, it's just fucking fictional, so I'll just leave it alone. But I didn't realize it went deeper than that. Shortly after that was when I discovered your channel and your videos covering Roman himself. And I figured at this point it was probably best to kind of walk away from Roman's server. So I walked away from Roman's server. Roman DM'd me, and I think I still have those DMs where he says... where I told him, no, I need to kind of get away for a while. I think it was all this drama and stuff. And he said, yeah, that's fine. I mean, just know you'll always have a place in the server. And that was when I walked away from it. And I was away from there for a good while. And I think during that time I had joined up in your server. We were talking about all the Roman stuff. And then eventually it got to the point where the age of consent in Japan came about.
That tweet where him and his friend tried to advocate for it to be 13 years old, right?
Yes, the very conversation between him and Pedro, I believe.
Yeah, Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro was saying that the law to increase the age of consent in Japan was unconstitutional. Newsflash, it's not unconstitutional. It actually went through a democratic process. Because contrary to what people might believe, though they are a monarchy, they still have a constitutional structure in their laws. The the he got mad because he thought they were unconstitutional. Then we see Roman going exactly as if he agreed with him. There's no other way to contextualize that. He agreed with it. And then it just kept devolving down to where, the two of them were talking about how they hope some anti-feminist goes in to undo it and reduce the age back to 13 because it was better that way. And Roman gave the fingers crossed, which, again, there's no other way to contextualize that outside of I agree. And at that point, that's where I was like, okay, I fully disavow this guy.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but do you remember at some point in time during the debate when that was brought up, that his excuse for that was, I was at a low point in my life, as if that was some sort of like excuse for sitting there saying that?
I don't remember the exact point in time and when it happened, but I do recall him saying something to that effect. But it just like in all of his debates where he tries to do something like that, it's all for sympathy. It's all sympathy bait.
Mm-hmm.
He got caught, and instead of explaining himself or anything like that, he just tries to deflect it and sympathy bait from everybody. He's doing exactly what he accused you of, which is Darvoing the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Which, unfortunately, I learned the hard way that that's kind of his game.
Now, at what point in time did he sit there and, I guess you could say, confront you or message you and pretty much tried calling you a Judas? Do you remember at what point in time he tried doing that?
I do not remember the specific time frame, nor can I access the post because his old account is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it had something to do with, this is when you and him going back and forth was in hyperdrive. And you were trying to get him to come on to debate him. And I think it was after the second debate with the Manic Mechanic,
mm-hmm.
that I tried to say something. And just as you and Bader can know, I've done my best to try to be down the middle with him. It's like, come on, dude, calm down. Just come on, just explain it. Dude, this is why people are not believing you.
I mean, I've always said that you were the most fair out of anyone I've ever seen when it came to him.
I tried to be, much to a fault, but but no matter how much I tried to be fair with him, he decided to shoot back during one of my final interactions with him, and he said, "You're a Judas. You sided with him," and I don't think he knows what a Judas is, by the way.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Which I didn't really betray him. Yes, I came over and I talked to you guys about him, but I didn't necessarily betray him. I was still trying to keep things level between him and you. It didn't really turn into a, fuck Roman situation until after he tried to pull that shit with me and when he got caught with the age of consent shit on Twitter.
Now, would you say that I am correct in assuming that he does not want, I guess you could say, friends or anything like that, that he just wants just blind supporters? Would you, out of your experience with him, do you feel like I would be correct in assuming that?
At this point, yes, I do firmly believe that. If I may add, I also think he just tries to, even if he does try to make friends on there, his whole purpose of being friends with them is just so he could have his own little army.
Mm-hmm. I honestly don't know how many times he needs to be caught in lies. be told that he's acting stupid by, I guess, really anybody, because even the person that I'm led to believe that he held to the highest regard, being Jay Senpai, even when he told him, you know, hey, just admit to your lies, dude. You've been caught. Knock it off. Enough is enough. Even that
Yeah,
wasn't enough to have him be like, all right, I fucked up. It's just even that
yeah,
wasn't enough to do it.
yeah. I'm not even a lolly enjoyer like he is, and he knows that. And I still tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I still tried to play the nice guy with him, but because I would not toe the line 100%, he decided to write me off as a Judas. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have a person who likes lollies just like he does, and he seems is and I'm not going to say much on him myself. I don't know him personally, but he seems like he has a better head on his shoulders than what Roman does, telling him the exact same thing, virtually the exact same thing that I was trying to tell Roman. But because he didn't toe the line to Roman's liking, he turned on him as well.
See, now, one of the biggest things that kind of bugged me was the whole the whole him completely like just fuck Tai Ironclaw because he doesn't want to randomly and completely blindly support me out of nowhere. That kind of bugged the hell out of me, because the way I've always saw it, at least, if we're gonna be friends, you know, and you do something that's, you know, not cool, I'm gonna tell you, like, hey dude, that's not cool, you shouldn't do that. And
Exactly.
same thing should go around. I feel like that's a fair mindset to have. But to sit there and just be, I want blind supporters like that, and to completely lie about people who are calling you out. Like, I've told you this off camera before, that the beef and the drama with me and him had gotten so wild that he literally defecated in a box, called the actual FBI. They showed up to my house and were pretty much
Yeah, I
like,
remember that.
and they were pretty much like, yo, what the hell? What's going on here? And then after I explained everything to them by him being like a lying sack of shit and all that, they were pretty much like, all right, well, this guy is an idiot and shit like that. To go to the extent to attack, quote unquote, the antis, just to go to that extent to try and get the actual FBI on them, it makes me wonder what else, what other extremes is he willing to go to, and what else is going on behind closed doors now.
Right. Yeah, I don't disagree with that entirely. You know.
Is there any freaking sort of time where he tried to be all like, at least tried to be fair with you in that in that whole interaction with him?
The closest that I can remember, you got to keep in mind, I don't have a whole, I don't retain memory that well. I don't have much memory from my time in a server, but I do recall on Twitter, just one of the times I was in a conversation in a thread with you and him, that I was again telling him, look, just go on to the debate. Actually, no, I remember this precisely now. I offered to moderate a debate.
Mm-hmm.
I offered to host a Discord debate, and I would moderate the thing because I felt between you, Pods, myself, I kind of figured, especially since I had my brief interaction with him, I'd probably be more fair on the whole thing.
Right.
I told him, look, I'll go ahead and host a debate. Just let me know when. I'll let you know when my days off are. If you guys can schedule on those days, great. And then he responded to me to some effect saying, "You're a good friend, man," or something like that. But as you already know, that never happened.
Right. Because again, in typical Mr. Anime fashion, he's all I like lolicons. Freaking support me. That's pretty much. It's as black and white as that.
Yes.
And it's honestly a shame. Well, is there anything else you want to possibly add on when it comes to the subject of him, or anything that you want to warn people about when it comes to him, or anything like that?
The only thing that I can really say is don't make the mistake of interacting with him. For starters, if you ask him a question, if you ask him to provide you details on anything, as I've learned the hard way, he's just going to dance around the issue. He's only going to do what he accuses other people of doing, which is Darvoing the situation. He's as much as he wants to call the anti-lolly people sociopaths, he does everything in his power to try and manipulate you into his side or feel bad for him if he can't take the pressure. So I just advise not communicating with him. Don't try to reason with him. There is no reason to be found there. You are better off just saving yourself the headache. And there is also a handful of people who are on his side. Whether or not Roman supports these people as well, you engage with Roman, you will likely engage with the people that I'm currently being stalked by.
That's honestly, I feel like that's a fair stance to have. Well, thank you, Tai, for at least coming on here and talking about Roman and your experience with him, and giving out that huge warning to people who he's probably gonna sympathy bait for, like he always does. So honestly, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Tai, for everything, all that information on Mr. Anime. Like we've all been saying throughout this whole video, this guy is an insane liar. He doesn't even lie about just me. He lies about other people. He lies to you guys, to all of your friends, to sit there and lie to them like that. That's freaking nuts. Because I'm not even gonna say that it's his audience he's lying to. Let's be real here. He's not big enough to have an audience. It's his friend group he's lying to. If you are one of his Lolicon friends and you're over here and he sent you this video telling you go report it and blah blah blah, and I guarantee this whole freaking he's Konosuke slandering me, blah blah blah. No one is slandering him. No one is slandering him. No one has ever slandered him. We are sitting here and telling the truth of everything that's been going on with this guy. Everything that's going on with this guy. We even have one of his former Lolicon friends sitting here telling you about this guy in the beginning of it. If you sit here and you blindly believe other Lolicons and you think all of us in this video are lying, then listen to freaking Jay Senpai. He's been getting harassed and annoyed by this guy too. Like honestly, this is not like sitting there and impersonating a lawyer trying to send Jay Senpai a cease and desist as well. What kind of stuff is that? Why? What is that? And you know what? Lucky for me, I had a conversation who had caught Mr. Anime in his multitude of lies. Please sit here and listen to this conversation that I had with Pods. Alright, so who I have here is someone I've been mentioning throughout the entirety of the video. I have Pods here, or Danklords_pro on Twitter. You've confronted Mr. Anime a bunch of times and call him in a whole bunch of lies and shit like that. So would you like to talk about, how you met this guy and any other information that you feel like is relevant?
Yeah, so like I heard of him during like Weeb Wars, or like as other people know as like the Vic Mignogna like controversy. So like I saw him when like I was like going at it with someone known as 8-Bit Shinobi, where like pretty much I was like claiming that like his virtual con is like a scam due to like him being like so lazy about promoting it, or like doing shitty graphics, or like even having like spelling errors and trying to claim that he's being canceled, typical like SJW behavior that he tries to criticize other people for.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, Mr. Anime was like supporting that. And then later on, I think that um, we kind of like got into like a beef because we chimed in when he was crying about people making black characters, or I'm sorry, changing certain characters in My Hero Academia to be black, and he's like crying about it, which is like really funny considering like his whole entire defense when it comes to Lolicon is that it's just art and that you should just ignore it. But like he bitches and moans about, people, race swapping, which is like I don't give two shits. It's kind of retarded to argue about. So like that's where I chimed in. But like he was like kind of like a lolcow for a bit on Kiwi farms due to I guess, defending another sped known as Tim Pike, who was cheating on his wife with another chick, and then trying to get people from I Stand with Vic to go after her, and then blatantly lying, which Mr. Anime's dumbass also supported. So like he supports like a lot of grifters and like pieces of shit, including like pedophiles. So that's like where I first encountered him.
So I remember you and Masturbator had done a video where you interviewed him pretty much and confronted him on
Yeah,
a bunch of lies that you guys have
yeah.
caught him on. Could you give me an example of some of the lies that you guys have caught him on that you can remember?
I can't remember that much, but like I know that for a fact that like he tries to go like philosophical about like why he likes Japan and everything, saying that he only likes it for like, putting like for example like putting their shoes away, which is like that I think like a lot of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't really know the Japan culture, but one of the lies outside that video was that he was saying that like I was like kick Vic and I was like like what spraying lies about him and this overall thing that we're just a bunch of bullies, which we are. So, it's just a lot of things I can't remember, but I can speak on for another person, which is the homes on Kiwi Farms. So, like, one of the couple lines about the homes that Mr. Reiner has been saying is that, oh, he's kick Vic, oh, he's just jealous and all that nonsense, and that he supports this guy known as Yakuza Killer, who was beefing with Mr. Reiner at the time before he disappeared, which is like none of those are true. If you go on like the Holmes like profile, you'll see all the posts he made, and you can see that he's shitting on both sides. So like Mr. Enemy will lie about people and say they're kick Vic or that they're this and that, just so that he doesn't have to address the actual criticism at hand. And I think with the Wacky server, I think he was trying to claim that we doxed him or some shit,
I remember
which we
that.
didn't.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah, yeah. So like we were like, That's not even true, like your shit was already out there on the farms." And he was also being buddy buddy with two infamous pedophiles known as Res Nova and Von Dragon. So like that's how like he got on our radar.
See, I'm confused as to why he always bitches and moans and tries to say he's not a pedophile, yet he was caught advocating for Japan to lower their age of consent to be 13 years old and had liked the tweet that someone had aimed towards another user in the server, Charlie, who was like 16 at the time. And they were pretty
Yeah,
much saying, she deserves to get fucked and shit like that. And that was back when
yeah,
likes
some taboo
were
shit.
yeah, that was back when likes were public, and the two people that liked it were Von Dragon and Mr. Anime. It's like you can't say shit like that and like shit
And
like
then played
that.
off as a joke. And the funny thing is that that guy goes by Oswaldo. I think someone like there's a docs on that as well. Um, that guy's also another loser who's into Lolicon and got fired from his job as a bus driver for saying the hard R. So yeah, a bunch of great friends he has out there. So
Yeah, see, and as we saw with the whole situation with Jay Senpai, if even if other lolicons call him out and shit like that, he'll sit there and try and fuck with them and just do that. Because remember, I showed you the emails he was sending Jay Senpai, and he was being
yeah.
weirdly all, "You betrayed me, you'll rue the day," blah blah blah, that weird shit.
I thought that wasn't him. He denied that,
Well,
but
it's both myself and Jay Senpai are leaning more towards it actually being him. But let's be honest here, Mr. Anime will deny any and everything. So it's like,
yeah,
yeah. All right.
yeah.
So, I mean, is there anything else that's relevant that you feel like you would like to bring up or talk about?
So, Mr. Anime, like he surrounds himself with weirdos, like actual genuine weirdos. Like, he was buddy with Von Dragon, despite being, known for being a pedophile. He was in a group chat with him and with Reznova. He also like supports grifters like that Umbrella guy, Yellow Flash, and Nick Rekieta, which I think he now denounces, but I don't know. But that's who he used to support. And then what was it? He even like uh support like Senpai, who again like there's a docs on like the I Stand with Vic thread, which goes into detail about a lot of these speds. So like he supports cheaters, he supports grifters and all these other things blindly. And then when you call him out for it, he will lie about it just blatantly. Because I remember he blamed you for him getting fired, but when there's like no actual proof. And the crazy part is that what was it? He lied 3 times about it. The first lie was that he got fired because 2 people called up his workplace. The second lie was that what was it? Was that he broke the company policy for going on YouTube and uploading videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third lie was that you're the one that got him fired, which is like, okay, which one is it? Like, you're saying that 2 people called you, but you don't know who they are, but then somehow you know it's Konosuke, but then you change it to then being, oh, it's a YouTube thing. So like that it was just ridiculous on all fronts.
Yeah, now the current story he tries to run with is the whole YouTube videos on the computer thing, which is it's an insult to our intelligence, because you expect us to believe that you worked at this job for 10 years and didn't know don't use the company computers for personal shit.
Yeah. And I want to highlight one thing. I'm sure there's a screenshot out there that you have. So like in the age of consent, he wants you to be 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
He replied to it saying that like, oh, well, Japan's birth rates is low. What do you mean by that, Mr. Anime? You want to elaborate, buddy?
I've always said this, and I'll never stop saying this. I am 100% fully convinced that Mr. Anime wants to legally sleep with children.
Probably.
I'm 100% convinced by that.
Yeah. So like there's probably more things I'm forgetting, but like there's a lot more information if you just look up like Roman or his full name, Mr. Anime 343, especially like with the homes because a lot of people talk about it. And then unfortunately like my channel is still down for like I think 2 more days. So once that's up, like there's like an interview where he goes full on stupid about like why he likes Japan and why he loves it so much, which is just dumb because the main things that I remember is because putting your shoes away and then the clothing, I think, which again I think that's kind of valid, but like come on, like if one of the reasons putting their shoes away, like he's cooked. And the funny thing is that like, he glazes Japan so much, despite Japan like having so many like issues, like for example, rampant sexism, sexual harassment, um, unhealthy work conditions, and among other things. Like there was this one famous voice actor. I just saw this article like a couple of days ago where like she got like sexually assaulted, but she couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't do anything about it because everyone was judging her. So like yeah, Mr. Anime loves that. And the crazy thing is that Japan has some weird ass shit going on when it comes to like uh hentai and everything and exploitations with like actual children. So like I'm not sure why these fucking lunatics be glazing Japan like it's some holy grail or something. So like yeah. Oh yeah, and Miss Anime's fat.
Yeah. uh, oh, Christ. All right, well, thank you for sitting here and agreeing to come on here and talk about Mr. Anime with me, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say that with Mr. Anime, like he's someone there's plenty of videos that make fun of him for it. But like he's such a bitch. Like he will laugh at you for blocking people, but then when he does it, it's okay. He's one of those guys, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay, there,
that's
buddy.
nothing new behavior for him. But
Yeah, because I remember when I announced that I was making a live stream on him, he quit streaming for a couple weeks. So,
of course.
that was pretty funny.
But anyway, thanks again for coming on here and talking about Mr.
No
Anime with
problem.
me and clarifying a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave
Mm-hmm.
your channel link in the description below. Everyone go check out his channel and shit. Let him know I sent you there
Yeah.
because I'm better than bots.
No, shout out to the Wacky server. Shout out to the boys, and Konosuke likes sleeping with men in bathhouses. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Pods, for having that conversation with me and explaining that whole everything going on with your side of the whole Mr. Anime thing. So at this point, I really don't know what more I need to say. You know, we've had freaking testimonies from, if you include myself, 5 people in this video. Now, this whole Mr. Anime thing is still ongoing. Let's be honest here, it's probably going to still keep happening because, again, he's a big old attention whore. He's a liar. He's a freaking actual pedophile. It's a whole mess of stuff with this guy, right? If you are friends with him, I suggest cutting ties. I suggest ending that whole thing right then and there because he's a complete creep. He'll drag you into everything that he's in and cause all this stuff really to just latch onto you as well.
Because, yeah, I'm willing to. It's just like what our friend Jay Senpai Explorer has been saying. When it comes to Lolicons, it's not about freaking, it's not about age. It's about body type.
As you can see, that was a good example with the whole Jay Senpai thing and with Tai Ironclaw as well. Please, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, right? You sat here all the way to the end. You watched this whole thing. Let me know what you think. You heard me out. You heard Pods out. You heard Tai out. You heard everybody out throughout this whole video. So it's only fair that I sit there and I hear you out, right? So let me know what you think. What's going on? If you had an interaction with Mr. Anime, please let me know. Let me know. Let everyone know. Comment in the comment section. Let us know your interactions with this guy, your history. Let me know. I would love to know. I'd love to hear it. And pretty much everyone else would as well. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys.